Hello, welcome to our 7th Bible study on individual responsibility to honor and support family leadership, focusing on Isaac-Rebekah interactions regarding Jacob and Esau, Module 4, Session 18 of Living in the Image of God. I am Goodluck Ofebu.
Hello, I am Obi Ofebu. We welcome you to this Bible study brought to you by Banking Blessings Ministry.
Hello, I am Tochukwu Chiobi.
And I am Ijoma Tochiobi.
Our discussion will lead to understanding that Isaac-Rebekah interactions highlight the need for transparent honor and support for family leadership.
God creates every person to represent Him in interactions with others.
To be for others what God would be for them if He lived with us in human form.
He provides resources to empower every person to perform their responsibilities.
Also, He blesses those that do.
Our program seeks to understand the meaning of living in the image of God.
Resources that God has provided to guide us.
And human responsibilities and benefits of living in the image of God.
Let's dive right in to learn, test, and share from God's message.
Let us begin with a summary of what we have learned in the study series toward understanding the individual responsibility regarding family leadership.
The series is based on Bible examples of husband-wife interactions and relationships, which we started with a discussion of the Shunammite couple.
We learned that the Shunammite couple was blessed abundantly through their honor and support for family leadership.
The Shunammite woman honored and supported her husband as overall leader of the household.
The husband supported his wife as spiritual gateway of the family and leader in specific matters.
We continued the study with a discussion of Adam and Eve.
Through the account of the creation of Adam and Eve, we learned that God created marriage to combine a man and woman,
to form a union of seamless complements that is adequate for the mission of representing Him among all creation.
He created man first, but found him inadequate. Then He created woman as comparable companion and helper from within.
The study has continued with a discussion of the Abraham-Sarah union.
We divided the discussion of Abraham-Sarah into 4 segments in order to focus enough on the details.
The first of the 4 segments led to understanding that God uses the family leadership structure to communicate His will to the family.
There, we saw that God called Abraham-Sarah union by speaking to Abraham.
Based on the interactions, we surmised that He relied on Abraham's leadership of the union and seamless communication with Sarah
to ensure that Abraham-Sarah shared the information and commitments seamlessly.
The second segment of Abraham-Sarah provides an example of defeating an external aggression by working together in honor and support of family leadership.
The interactions show Abraham-Sarah seeking to address childlessness by having a child through Hagar.
The attempt started with success, but led to serious problems for Abraham-Sarah that required calling on the strength of their union.
The third segment of Abraham-Sarah led to understanding that God's promise for her husband or wife is a promise for the husband-wife union,
to be fulfilled for them as one.
In the final segment of Abraham-Sarah, we discussed their interactions regarding the separation of Ishmael from Isaac.
Based on the interactions, we learned 4 lessons of individual responsibility regarding family leadership.
Honor and support for family leadership.
Conflict resolution strategy.
Quick and permanent resolution of husband-wife disagreement.
And selective development of family opportunities.
The current study discusses the Isaac-Rebekah union to understand their management of family leadership.
We will start by recognizing that the Isaac-Rebekah union was characterized by enduring love and honor and support for Isaac's overall leadership of the household.
However, we will see that Rebekah did not expect her husband to honor or support her leadership of specific family affairs.
She was a custodian of key family information regarding the relationship between their children.
She recognized her husband's authority to implement the relationship.
But she did not expect her husband to agree with her understanding of God's message regarding the children.
We will see that Rebekah managed her responsibilities in the family leadership by bridging over potential disagreements with her husband.
First, she took advantage of her husband's failing eyesight to redirect him to bless Jacob for family inheritance.
Second, in order to convince her husband to send Jacob away to their relatives, she presented a concern she and her husband shared regarding marriage.
However, she did not present her other concern that Jacob needed protection from Esau because Esau had threatened to kill him.
Let us begin with the evidence of enduring love in the Isaac-Rebekah union.
Isaac and Rebekah did not have a child for 20 years after marriage.
We know this because Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah and 60 years old at the birth of Esau and Jacob.
During the 20-year period of childless marriage, they did not seek alternative ways of having children.
Instead, Isaac prayed for his wife regarding childlessness.
Let us read from Genesis chapter 25, verses 20 through 21 and 24 through 26.
Genesis chapter 25 verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Padan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramean.
Verse 21. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant.
Genesis 25 verse 24. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb.
The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau.
After this, his brother came out, with his hand grasping Esau's heel. So he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them.
While pregnant, Rebekah consulted with God regarding the apparent unrest in her womb.
God informed her that she was pregnant with twins. The twins will become two separate nations, and the older will serve the younger.
The information conveys a message that Isaac-Rebekah family inheritance will be routed through the younger of the twin children.
Thus, Rebekah was the custodian of this information and was responsible to see to the implementation.
Let us read from Genesis chapter 25 verses 22 to 23.
Genesis chapter 25 verse 22. The babies jostled each other within her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord.
Verse 23. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger."
Through this interaction, God appointed Rebekah the custodian of information regarding the relationship between the younger and older sons and family inheritance.
Therefore, she had a responsibility to see that the relationship was established according to God's instruction.
Now, let us discuss Rebekah's management of her family leadership responsibilities.
Rebekah honored and supported Isaac's overall leadership, but she did not expect him to honor her occasional leadership of specific family affairs.
Therefore, she relied on bridging over potential disputes with her husband in order to perform her leadership responsibilities.
For example, she took advantage of her husband's failing sight to redirect him to bless Jacob instead of Esau for the family inheritance.
In another example, she presented a concern they shared regarding marriage in order to convince her husband to send Jacob away to protect him from Esau.
Let us discuss the first example. When the time came for Isaac to bless one of their children to receive the family inheritance, he prepared to bless Esau.
He instructed Esau to hunt for game and prepare for him his favorite meal.
Rebekah overheard the conversation. She prepared Isaac's favorite meal and sent Jacob to deliver the meal.
She disguised Jacob to present himself as Esau. The disguise took advantage of Isaac's failing sight to make him mistake Jacob for Esau.
The disguise was successful. Isaac blessed Jacob, though he intended to bless Esau.
Let us read selections from Genesis chapter 27, verses 1 through 13.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 6. Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau,
Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.
Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you."
Genesis 27:9. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, so I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it.
Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies.
We did not read the passage in full, but the selected reading describes how Rebekah redirected her husband to bless Jacob instead of Esau for family inheritance.
She took advantage of his failing sight to redirect him, because she did not expect him to accept her message of God's instruction.
That the family inheritance be routed through Jacob, the younger of the twin children.
Let us discuss a second example of Rebekah performing her family leadership responsibility by bridging over a potential dispute with her husband.
She became aware that their oldest son Esau was threatening to kill the younger son Jacob.
She wanted Jacob to relocate, but recognized that only Isaac had the authority to send Jacob away.
Therefore, Rebekah presented to Isaac the concern they shared regarding marriage, and used the concern to convince Isaac to send Jacob away.
She did not present her other concern that Esau was threatening to kill Jacob.
Let us read selections from Genesis 27, verse 41 to 46.
Genesis 27, verse 41. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob."
Genesis 27:42. When Rebekah was told what her oldest son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you.
Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran.
Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides."
Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like this, my life will not be worth living."
The passage we just read shows that Rebekah made a case to her husband Isaac to send Jacob away from Canaan, based on a concern they shared regarding marriage.
She convinced her husband to direct Jacob against marrying a Canaanite woman, but toward marrying from their extended family in Padan Aram.
Isaac was convinced. He sent Jacob to their family relations in Padan Aram.
Let us read from Genesis 28 verses 1 through 5.
Genesis chapter 28 verse 1. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him. Then he commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite woman.
Go at once to Padan Aram, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother.
May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples.
May he give you and your descendants the blessing given to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham.
Genesis 28 verse 5. Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau.
Let us summarize. Isaac sent Jacob away because of a concern he shared with his wife regarding marriage to Canaanite women.
Rebekah used the marriage concern to convince Isaac to send Jacob away, but did not present her other concern that Esau was planning to kill Jacob.
This way, she bridged over a potential dispute with her husband in order to perform her leadership responsibility regarding the relationship between their children.
What did we learn in this Bible study?
Isaac-Rebekah union was characterized by love that endured 20 years of childlessness.
Rebekah honored and supported Isaac's overall leadership of their union, but she did not expect Isaac to honor her occasional leadership of specific family affairs.
Therefore, she relied on bridging over potential disputes with her husband in order to perform her leadership responsibility.
In one example, she took advantage of her husband's failing sight to redirect him to bless Jacob instead of Esau for family inheritance.
In another example, she presented a concern they shared regarding marriage to convince Isaac to relocate Jacob, but she did not present her other concern that Esau was planning to kill Jacob.
This discussion of the Isaac-Rebekah union confirms our understanding that God uses family leadership to communicate His will to the family.
Also, Isaac-Rebekah interactions highlight the need for transparent honor and support for a family leadership.
The husband and wife should expect and receive honor and support for each other's contribution to family leadership.
Please join us again in our continuing discussion of living in the image of God.
Thank you.
God bless you. Actually, that story of Esau and Jacob, I did not like it as a child. Because I know that God already told Rebekah, but I'm like, what did Esau do? What was the reason that the mom really wanted or supported Jacob to get the blessing? Yes, it was from what God told her. I'm like, what did Esau do as a child in the womb?
Good question. When we look at it with our human understanding, the whole story of Esau and Jacob is showing us about the sovereignty of God. That is God all by himself. He can choose to do what he wants to do, and he's not answerable to man. That's one. The second thing is that the culture of the kingdom is not the culture of the world. The culture of in the culture of the world, the firstborn inherits carries on the family inheritance, and that is Esau. But in the culture of the kingdom, because he's the Alpha and Omega, he knows whom he has prepared, or who will be better able to carry out his assignment, that he has, prepared. If we're better at connecting the dots after the fact. For example, if you look at Esau, and I don't know the mind of God, but if you look at Esau, he's a warring type, and so also are his descendants. But if you look at Jacob was out of Jacob came Joseph. Jacob was more humble, more subtle, and Joseph needed some of those humility, character, in order to survive the assignment that God gave him, which he carried out later, which we'll see later in the life of Joseph. But then he's God all by himself. He can choose to do whatever he wants to do.
It's so true. But if I have to use my human mind, I feel like, okay,
exactly.
God, you should have made Jacob to come out first, so that we wouldn't have this dichotomy. Because he's God, he could make things possible. Then Jacob should have come out first,
and not Esau.
But again, that's just my human. My human way of thinking. Yeah.
That's a reasonable question to ask. That if God was human, we are talking about it today. We have the right to. He has given us capability to think and talk about things. So, if he had created them in that order, Jacob first and Esau, that problem would not have occurred. But then we wouldn't be talking about it.
So true.
Recognize that we're actually learning a lot from this. So it's quite possible that part of what he did was to provide opportunity for human beings to learn certain things about the relationship between them.
So true.
Yeah. So.
And also, if you look at it, this is actually not the first time that God is doing this. He did it with Ishmael. Ishmael was the firstborn. And before Isaac came. Yeah. But Isaac was the child of promise.
Sure.
And, when Sarah said, send Ishmael away, Abraham was not going to do it until God spoke to him and said, listen to your wife.
Yep.
You have to separate Ishmael from Isaac.
Yeah.
And why did he not put the promise on Ishmael?
Yeah.
After all, both of them came from
Abraham.
Although it's only one, Isaac that came from.
Why did he not just have Sarah have a child before
Ishmael?
So it's
a lot of whys.
And these whys are the reason why he is God all by himself.
Absolutely.
So many whys, but the whys are from our human understanding.
Well, my take from the study is I just see the strong role mothers play in a family, and this is one of the reasons why it's good to be close to your mother. So, but when I'm looking at it, I'm tying this Rebekah relationship with Isaac to our mother Mary, Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Yeah.
Seeing that relationship Jesus had with his mom is the same relationship Jacob had with his own mother.
This brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Please join us again in our continuing discussion of living in the image of God. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.